Now at 5, thousands of truck drivers left in a lurch by Celadon's sudden closing. We just received a list of companies that are hiring and want to put these drivers back on the road.
5 years and still no answers as to who killed a young man in Marion. What his family is asking for from the public this holiday season.
We started off in the lower 20s today, and it looks like we'll be even colder tonight. I'll detail another chilly Wednesday.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Good evening. Here at 5 o'clock tonight, a deeper look into the fallout after an Indianapolis-based trucking company files for bankruptcy.
As RTV6 has reported, Celadon is shutting down operations. And tonight, team coverage as hundreds of Hoosiers are without a job.
RTV6's Megan Sanctorum leads us off tonight with a look at what's next for the company's employees.
Celadon employees are telling us this news came as a shock. Many we spoke with say there was no indication that the company was heading in this direction and that they would end up unemployed. People who work here say hundreds were based at the headquarters here in Indianapolis, and it wasn't just drivers.
It takes a lot to run a trucking company, so we did have maintenance shop people, we have driver trainers, people in human resources, customer service reps, sales, recruiting teams.
Matt Gang says he was a senior training and development specialist with Celadon. He found out the company filed for bankruptcy over the weekend.
It was devastating news. You leave on Friday and you're going through your weekend thinking everything is fine and copacetic, and planning to show up and work on Monday and do your job, only to find out that you don't have a job anymore. And it's obviously really tough this time of year as well.
Tonight at 6, we'll have more from former employees, and you'll hear from a driver and what he says the company is doing to help him find a new job. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
RTV6 is also utilizing our Passion Project, hiring Hoosiers to make sure former Celadon employees get the jobs and resources they need. The Indiana Motor Truck Association says its members want to help those impacted by Celadon's closing. They put together a list of carriers that they say are hiring. RTV6's Kara Kenny continues our team coverage tonight. She just spoke with IMTA and joins us now with what they're saying tonight. Kara.
Thank you, Mark. This is a 21-page list of trucking companies who are hiring in Indiana right now. The goal is to help not just truck drivers, but also technicians, recruiters, office staff, and other employees who are now without work. The Indiana Motor Truck Association has more than 200 members. President Gary Langston says many of them have reached out asking how they can help, whether it be with stranded drivers or finding people jobs. Langston says it will be the most difficult for office workers, but he hopes they can find jobs in trucking or elsewhere. IMTA says they're trying to help workers by posting a list of carriers that are hiring.
Most of these drivers will find jobs relatively quickly. Those who want jobs, those who have good safety records, those who are good, strong drivers, they'll find jobs with other companies. We have several carriers who are reaching out, are doing all the things necessary to try to help them.
And you can find the list of trucking companies that are hiring on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. And tonight on the news at 6, you'll hear from one of the carriers that is trying to help, and you'll find out why. Amanda?
Thanks, Kara. Holidays are supposed to be about joy and spending time with family, and one family in Marion has to visit the cemetery every year to do that. RTV6's Stephanie Wade speaks with a mother who has not stopped looking for who killed her son, and she's calling on the public to do the same.
Another Christmas is going by with still no answers and no idea who killed a young man in Marion. 23-year-old David Weiss was a son, a brother, and a father to 2 young children.
For Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners, I take my grandchildren to the graveyard to eat a meal with their daddy. They can't hug him. They can't kiss him.
The past 5 years, Stephanie Weiss and her family have spent wondering who killed their son, David.
Devastating. Like, I relive January 3rd every day in my head. When I close my eyes, I see my son laying in that casket.
Weiss was found shot near 8th and D Street in Marion, January 3rd, 2015. His body left on the Cardinal Greenway Trail.
It's aggravating. I want to know what happened to my child. He was a human being, and we loved this kid right here. he would give you the shirt off his back.
The killer gets to spend time with their family, but we never get to see him again.
He was a family man. He had a son, a daughter he never met.
I spoke with the Marion Police Department. They say they've pursued every possible lead they've had so far, but haven't found any new information that's led them to a suspect in the case. Police have solved 19 of 26 homicide cases in Marion since 2012. 7 families of 7 victims hope their day comes soon.
Somebody knows what happened.
Working for you in Marion, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
And if you have any information about this case or any other cold case, call the Marion Police Department. That number is on your screen at 765-662-9981. Again, that is 765-662-9981. And new information tonight about a deadly early morning fire on the Far East Side that also destroyed 3 homes. We just learned the name of the victim. She's 59-year-old Marsha Dean Kernoffel. She lived in the home in the 2600 block of Roth Lane, where the fire started shortly after 4 a.m. Indianapolis fire investigators say the high winds caused the fire to spread to the neighboring homes on both sides. All 3 homes were destroyed. The cause and origin of the fire have been ruled undetermined because of the extensive damage. A total of 5 people are displaced from the 3 homes.
Tonight, restrictions are in place on Illinois Street downtown, but the road is not entirely closed yet. Today, Citizens Energy began closing lanes of Illinois between McCarty and South Streets. Crews are getting ready to start work on the Dig Indy tunnel system. Citizens expect by tomorrow morning, only 1 lane will remain open for local traffic. The full closure will begin early next week. This stretch of Illinois Street should be closed until July. In less than an hour, you have a chance to weigh in on a plan to add travel lanes to I-465. There are 2 sections INDOT is focusing on. One is near the 465 US 31 interchange to the 465-65 interchange on the city's south side. The other is from the interchange at I-70 and 465 to the intersection of 465 and Man Road on the southwest side. INDOT says sound barriers would be added near the new lanes. If you'd like to learn more about the project, you can attend a public hearing tonight at 6 at the Decatur Central High School cafeteria.
And now, Kyle Mounts in the Storm Team 6 tracking center. It has gotten very cold.
Yeah, we
Temperatures
needed the winter coat today. Certainly an adjustment for us here. And this morning we started off our coldest in about a month. Officially 21 in the city. Even a couple of upper teens out there. Lafayette started the day at 18, 19 in Peru. And we've had clouds, a beautiful sunset in progress right now. But those clouds keeping temperatures locked into the 20s today. Really didn't warm very much at all. We're sitting at 25 in Indy and Martinsville, 26 for you in Bloomington, and 24 degrees in Kokomo. Still a little bit of a breeze out there, so we got to factor that in and break out the wind chill map again. It feels like 14 in Indy, feels like just 11 degrees in Peru, and 12 in Lafayette for that wind chill. The silver lining here is we're starting to break apart those clouds as we look back to the northwest, but that also sets the stage for an even colder night tonight. Over the next few hours, temperatures will hold in the lower 20s for us as those clouds decrease. Still a little bit of a west breeze. We're at 23 degrees at 10. We'll talk about those teens to start off our Wednesday in just a few minutes.
A Tri-West high school student has been arrested amid accusations he sexually assaulted a 15-year-old female. Zachary Johns is charged with sexual battery and sexual misconduct with a minor, both felonies. Prosecutors in Hendricks County say Johns had sex with a 15-year-old girl back in July and did not stop when the girl said stop. Records show he was 18 at the time. The case came to light after a friend of Johns and the alleged victim came forward to the Tri-West high school counselor. The suspect's attorney declined to comment. Johns is still a student at Tri-West High School. And the district released a statement to RTV6 saying, quote, the Tri-West guidance counselor followed appropriate protocol and immediately reporting the alleged incident to the Northwest Hendricks School Resource Officer, who notified the Pittsboro Police. The student is currently attending school part-time with restrictions while awaiting any further legal action.
Well, only on RTV6, the superintendent of the state's largest school system is renewing calls to cut ties with the out-of-state charter company running one of its schools. This issue will come to a head this Friday with a key vote. IPS is seeking the return of Emma Donnan Elementary and Middle School. The district lost the school in 2013 because of poor academic performance at the time. IPS is asking the state charter board to drop Florida-based Charter Schools USA because it's violated its agreement with the district. Well, that includes providing IPS IPS with academic and discipline reports, significant staff turnover, and a drop in the number of students.
We want to operate that school. We believe there's a partner who we can choose to operate the school, who could just simply give us better outcomes than what we've seen this past year.
The Indiana Charter Schools will vote on this issue this Friday. Regardless of the outcome, IPS will stop providing transportation to the school in the fall of 2020. And the big question will be the future of the school building. The Emma Donnan building belongs to IPS. Charter Schools USA is critical of IPS, saying it's focused on adult issues and politics. It goes on to say, quote, the only IPS students who outperformed the turnaround school students under CSUSA and NEI management were privileged white students. This is unacceptable and truly needs to be addressed, end quote.
Still ahead at 5:30 on RTV6, delivery surprise and not the good kind. How to avoid one mom's disappointment so you don't waste your money.
But first, IndyCar driver Tony Kanaan behind the wheel of an ambulance at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What this is all about and how it impacts the month of May.
For only $89. For on time.
We're following breaking news from New Jersey, where a police officer and 3 civilians are dead in a shooting in Jersey City. Officials believe the gun battle was prompted by a drug deal gone bad. The officer was shot by 2 suspects who fled to a supermarket. 3 people in the supermarket were killed. 3 other police officers were injured. The suspects were found dead in the store. President Trump will likely be impeached before the new year, and today House Democrats unveiled 2 articles of impeachment against him: abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. ABC's Mona Kosar-Abdi explains the charges and what comes next.
In a rare move, Congress this morning deploying its most powerful tool under the Constitution.
The House Committee on the Judiciary is introducing 2 articles of impeachment charging the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, with committing high crimes and misdemeanors.
The announcement, a culmination of a months-long in-depth investigation into the president's efforts to pressure Ukraine to investigate his potential 2020 political rival Joe Biden and his son Hunter, as well as the 2016 election.
Framers of the Constitution recognized that someday a president might come to office who would abuse that office, betray the public trust, and undermine national security to secure foreign help in his reelection.
House Republicans are accusing Democrats of moving too quickly throughout the process, claiming they have no solid evidence against the president. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy swiftly criticized his Democratic colleagues for what he says is their attempt to overturn the 2016 election.
It's not difficult to defend this president because this president did nothing that's impeachable.
And in a key battleground state.
Well, hello, Pennsylvania.
Vice President Mike Pence railed against the impeachment inquiry and called for 4 more years of Trump in the White House.
And what's happening in Washington, D.C. today is a disgrace. It's nothing short of a partisan impeachment.
The House Judiciary Committee is expected to take up articles for debate and approval as soon as this Thursday, setting the stage for Trump's likely impeachment before the year's end. House Democrats need around 217 votes to pass each article. If they pass, Speaker Nancy Pelosi will formally send the articles to the Senate for a January trial. Mona Kosar-Abdi, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
And we spoke to Republican Senator Mike Braun of Indiana today about impeachment. He said he views President Trump's conduct as inappropriate, but not impeachable. He also said he could see some Democrats in the Senate voting for impeachment, but few Republicans.
On a cold, sunny day in December, an announcement today from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway about the month of May, one that started with lights and sirens. That's 2013 Indy 500 champ Tony Kanaan behind the wheel of that AMR ambulance, and IMS President Doug Bowles in the passenger seat. They made a grand entrance today to announce that Global Medical Response, GMR, which is the parent company of AMR, is the new title sponsor of the IMS road race. The GMR Grand Prix will be the first race in the month of May. AMR IndyCar safety team is at every IndyCar race, and the drivers know them very well.
Being at the speeder for this long, I actually never really driven an ambulance with the sirens on and the front stretch. So it's a great announcement. Obviously, AMR has been with us. It's our safety team, and the guys that take care of us at the racetrack, they're right there when we have an issie. So I was honored to be able to announce their partnership.
Also included in this partnership is for GMR's All Clear Foundation to become an official IndyCar charity. That foundation will provide race tickets to first responders in each IndyCar market.
It's fun to be talking about the month of May already with our temperatures getting so low.
It
right
fantasize about warmer temperatures, is that right?
Yeah. We got a little ways to go. We do have a warm-up that's going to come our way. So this is a pretty quick-hitting blast of some cold air, but still, temperatures right now sitting in the middle 20s. So we're talking about numbers that are roughly 30 degrees colder than this time yesterday, and we've still got that west breeze between 10 and 15 miles per hour, which is making it feel even colder. It's sending those wind chills into the teens almost area-wide. Columbus, it feels like 20 for you. Feels like 12 in Lafayette and 14 in Indianapolis right now. Overnight tonight, as those skies continue to clear out, our actual temperatures will fall back into the teens and some lower 20s. 18 in the city and Peru, 21 in Columbus, and around Lafayette at 17 degrees. Winds are not going to be as much of a factor going into the overnight and tomorrow, but still, you got cold temperatures. Doesn't take a whole lot to make it feel a bit colder. That wind chill is going to be into the teens tomorrow morning and only recover into the 20s as we head into our Wednesday afternoon. But there are a couple of bright spots here in the Wednesday forecast. One, we're going to see a little more sunshine mixing in with those clouds from time to time. Another dry day, and temperatures will make their way around and above the freezing mark. So we do start a little bit of that moderation of temperatures. 30 degrees at noon, 34 for the afternoon high, and it's a step in the right direction, even though it's still below average for this time of year. You'll make it to 37 in Bloomington, just at the freezing mark in Muncie, and Peru may not quite squeeze out the 30-degree temperature. But we talked about that warming trend that is going to come our way here. We'll kick out the cold air, and by Thursday, we're back into the middle 40s, actually a few degrees above where we should be for this time of year. 44 on Friday, and we'll hold on to some of that relative warmth going into Saturday. That's also next chance for a little bit of wet weather coming our way. We put TrueCast into motion here on Saturday. Could see a few rain showers, possibly a bit of a wintry mix going into our Saturday night. Right now, it looks like it would all be on the light side, but certainly something to keep an eye on going forward over the next few days, because between now and then, it's a pretty quiet forecast for us with those temperatures moderating from 34 tomorrow afternoon. We'll add about 10 degrees here as we go into Thursday, Friday holding into the 40s. And also those overnight lows are not going to be quite as frigid, around 30 degrees by Friday morning. Notice Saturday looking pretty good outside of that chance for a wintry mix, and then it does get a little bit colder behind that system.
Looking forward to Saturday then.
There you go.
Looking ahead, right? Thanks, Kyle, for that. Hey, you see all kinds of blow-ups during the holidays, but nothing quite like this. If you're a fan of the classic movie A Christmas Story, you know exactly what this is. The 20-foot-tall inflatable Ralphie in his pink bunny PJs is on display in front of a Christmas Story house and museum in Cleveland. Remember in the movie when Ralphie was forced to wear the pajamas from Aunt Claire? Well, the movie was actually set in Hammond, Indiana, but the famous house is in Cleveland.
You'll shoot your eye out. All right. Well, we've heard a lot about impeachment and quid pro quo, but they won't be named Word of the Year. The word that rose to the top when we come back. Hello to you. I'm Julie Grant with Court TV, and we're in day number 3 of Michigan versus defendant Stephen Washington. Testimony resuming today after ending abruptly on Monday when the presiding judge had to tend to a family crisis. Now another judge has taken over on the case. Washington is accused of murdering Michigan State University student Isai Barones. Barones was a 22-year-old senior when he was shot to death in October of 2018 outside of an East Lansing apartment complex after Barones stepped into a fight between 4 girls. Prosecutors say that Washington shot Barones, but Washington's defense team says that he was unarmed at the time of the shooting and is being framed by the other people involved. If convicted, Washington faces life in prison. And the penalty phase in Florida versus defendant Mark Severs is underway. Last week, Severs was convicted of first-degree murder for hiring 2 hitmen to kill his wife, Dr. Teresa Severs, back in 2015. The jury could recommend that Severs spend the rest of his life behind bars, or they could recommend that he be sentenced to death. As always, you can count on Court TV for live gavel-to-gavel coverage. I'm Julie Grant. Now back to you in the studio.
Julie, thank you. You can learn more about other cases around the nation right now at courttv.com. Well, it's a word we use every day, but this common and increasingly mighty word is now known as the word of the year for 2019.
So drum roll, please. According to the Merriam-Webster, the word of the year is they. Merriam-Webster declared the personal pronoun the word of the year based on a 313% increase in lookups on the company's search site compared to last year. Merriam-Webster recently added a new definition to its online dictionary to reflect the use of they as relating to a person who says their gender is not exclusively male or female.
Well, let's show you some of the other words that are runner-ups here. Quid pro quo, impeach, crawdad, egregious, and clemency there. There you go. The list is out. New at 6 o'clock here. Imagine being diagnosed with meningitis multiple times.
But then learning there is a much deeper issue going on, so rare that doctors are still working on finding a good treatment for it. We will introduce you to a woman working to shine light on a sickness that is often misdiagnosed.
And up next on the Now Indy, it's usually students on the school bus, but not this one. Why a principal and his staff are spending the day on the bus to help one of their students. You're watching RTV6.
For only $89 for On Time.
Today on the Now, we are talking about getting help with mental health before it becomes a crisis, the resources that Warm Lines can provide. The job market is in your favor right now. In some industries, they're hiring more than others. Ahead, the most in-demand fields for next year and the skills hiring managers are looking for. And beer makers say it is as close to the real taste as you can get without the alcohol. We're taking a look into how brewers make full-strength beer and then remove the booze, but not the taste.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Amanda Starantino, and you're watching the Now Indy. Right now, on one of the chilliest days of December so far, there is an effort underway to brave the cold to support a young Shelbyville boy who is fighting a form of brain cancer. This bus is parking at several locations in Shelbyville, including the downtown circle. For every $100 donated, the principal of Shelbyville Middle School and his staffers will spend an extra hour in the bus. They are raising money for the family of a 7th grade middle school boy named Grant, who was just diagnosed with a form of brain cancer. For at least the next 6 weeks, Grant and his family will have to travel to Cincinnati almost daily for treatment. School administrators wanted to step up and help ease the burden and help the family with travel expenses.
He's one of us. You know, he's one of our kids, and we're a family at Shelbyville Middle School. And we like to help and support each other as much as we can, and he's one of our students. And so we felt like we want to help this family out to get through this terrible time, that we can get through it and be together.
The bus has been parked outside the middle school. It's been in the downtown circle, and it will also be parked outside the Shelbyville Walmart to collect donations to help. The goal is to raise $2,400 in 24 hours, and they'll keep collecting beyond that. Special guest, Rep Brookside School 54, spreading holiday cheer while warming up students' feet. Colts players from Public Airways and Samaritan's Feet International distributed new athletic shoes and socks to kids at the school. Community volunteers also washed the students' feet during this event. The smile on the kids' faces when they get their new shoes is why these volunteers say they want to be there.
We're not only delivering a pair of shoes, we're talking with them, we're washing their feet. We're going, that extra step to make sure that they feel that connection and that appreciation that we have today.
And in all, 500 pairs of shoes were given out to the students at the school. Kyle.
All right, the temperatures might be cold, but the sky is on fire right now, enjoying that beautiful sunset here across central Indiana. But as those skies clear out, that means that the temperatures are going to get even colder here for us as we go through the next several hours. Right now, we're sitting in the middle 20s, 25 in Indy, 24 in Kokomo with mostly clear skies at this point. You're clear in 26 in Bloomington with that west breeze still a little bit of a factor. So we got to talk about that wind chill almost into the single digits around Peru and Lafayette, in the lower teens right now for what it feels like. Satellite and radar, well, they've actually had some snow down into portions of Kentucky. That system continuing to push away from us. High pressure is going to be building in, and that's what's continuing to clear out our skies and will bring us a quiet night of weather. Temperature-wise, we'll hold in the lower 20s here through 9 and 10 o'clock at 22. A light west wind, and those wind chills will be in the teens. By tomorrow morning, we're down to 18 degrees. It's not a record. That's actually below zero, 9 below, set in 1977, but it's cold enough. Chris.
Today marks only the 4th time that a U.S. president has faced articles of impeachment. Now, even though it's extremely unlikely that the Senate will vote to convict President Trump, Democrats announced 2 charges today, one for alleged abuse of power and another obstruction of Congress. The charges stem from the president's pressure on Ukraine to investigate a political rival as he withheld aid from the country.
It is an impeachable offense for the president to exercise the powers of his public office to obtain an improper personal benefit while ignoring or injuring the national interest. That is exactly what President Trump did when he solicited and pressured Ukraine to interfere in our 2020 presidential election.
The president tweeted today saying just 2 words, witch hunt. Now, in an earlier tweet, he reiterated that he's, quote, done nothing wrong and referred to impeachment as sheer political madness. Republicans in both the House and the Senate have largely defended the president, and they're claiming Democrats are moving too quickly and ignoring facts that clear the president.
So no, it is not difficult to defend this president, but it is very difficult to defend this Congress on what they have done, and history will not be kind to them.
Now, the full House will now vote on whether to impeach the president. Democrats in the House are expected to have no trouble winning that vote. But then senators will hold a trial. 2/3 of the Senate would have to vote to remove the president from office. Let's start the news feed. House Democrats and the Trump administration did reach a deal today to move forward to replace NAFTA. The 2 sides agreed on new enforcement tools for labor and environmental standards in a deal involving the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. The U.S. Center for Safe Sport is investigating an allegation of sexual abuse of a 13-year-old figure skater. Now, the girl is accusing French skater Morgan Cypress of abuse in 2017. Now, the girl says Cypress's coach tried to stop the family from reporting the incident to authorities. The Chilean Air Force is looking for one of its planes that went missing on its way to Antarctica. Now, it says it lost communication with that plane about an hour after takeoff. 38 people were on board. All right, let's get back to our lineup here on the Now. And the job market is in your favor right now. And some industries are hiring more than others ahead, the top jobs of 2020, and what type of skills hiring managers are looking for.
Beautiful jewelry.
Welcome back to the Now Indy on RTV6. Another branch of the Indianapolis Public Library will be closing for renovation. The Lawrence branch will temporarily close on January 5th for its first major renovation since the branch opened in 1983. The $1.5 million project will include an updated entrance, new study and tutoring areas, new restrooms, and new spaces for children, teens, and adults. Completion is expected in late spring, early summer. On the west side, the Wayne branch is already closed until May for renovations.
LinkedIn is out with a look of what type of jobs are likely to be most in demand for 2020. Cutting-edge technology and mental health are big industries that are emerging, and for tech, robotics, engineering, data, and cybersecurity are big areas, specifically jobs that deal with artificial intelligence.
We talk about AI, and sometimes it sounds very science fiction-y, but really what we're talking about here is using statistics and, especially statistics that involves heavy-duty computing to comb through reams of data and, reach insights that you would not be able to achieve solely on the basis of human intelligence alone.
Now, when it comes to mental health, behavioral health technicians are in high demand. They can fill roles in places like substance abuse treatment centers and YMCAs. Now, it doesn't require a 4-year college degree, and LinkedIn says other industries are open to hiring employees that have diverse backgrounds, specialized training, and other skills outside of a typical college education.
Each one of these requires some specialization, but I would think the advice I'd give anybody is, regardless of whether you're in an emerging job or just an established job, it's useful to have a broad range of soft skills, digital literacy.
Now, these positions are in demand in more places as well outside of the big cities. States are turning to taxes to crack down on vaping rates. The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids says 20 states and Washington, D.C. have taxes in place. The World Health Organization found that if the price of smoking products goes up 10%, well, that correlates with a 4% drop in usage. More than 2,200 people have been hospitalized as part of the current vaping epidemic. All right, ahead in our lineup, mental health support before it becomes a larger problem.
Warm line is really sort of before the crisis hits or before the person even knows there is a crisis.
the mental health resources that are just a phone call away for everyone.
For only $89 for On Time.
Is the SAT biased? The story starts in the Now newsfeed. A new lawsuit challenging the University of California system's use of the SAT, but also the ACT for admission. The suit is arguing the exam provides no meaningful information about the applicant. The NHL is putting in new rules about abusive behavior. Teams are now required to report any misconduct immediately. An incident involving racial abuse led to the head coach of the Calgary Flames resigning last month. More E. coli concerns for salads. This time, the CDC saying you should avoid Fresh Express, Sunflower Crisp, chopped salad kits. Now, it's with expiration dates up to December 7th. Health officials found the California company's kits to be contaminated with E. coli. But when it comes to mental health, it is important to have a place to go to get help in an emergency. But what about a place to go before it reaches that level?
People may not even know what the problem is, but they know that something isn't quite right. And so if they call a warm line, they're going to get somebody on the other end who's non-judgmental, who will listen to them in a way that maybe family or friends aren't able to.
We talked to the National Council for Behavioral Health about what's called warm lines. Think of this as a pre-crisis call if you're having a problem or maybe just feeling off. Now, someone on the other end of that line can provide emotional support. They can connect you with a peer coach or support group, a mental health agency, or maybe just general resources that can help with everyday life. Warm lines are helpful for those living in rural areas as well because it can be someone's first contact with mental health services.
Warm lines lift barriers. And there still exist a lot of barriers for people talking about problems that they're having that they keep to themselves. And if we keep it to ourselves, we don't get better.
Now, more than 30 states have their own warm lines, and several of those can take calls from anywhere in the country.
Thanks, Chris. We have a warning to all parents about having holiday gifts delivered to your front door. More retailers this year are shipping items in their original box to save on packaging costs. But consumer reporter John Matarese shows how that can spoil a child's surprise so you don't waste your money.
If you have young children or grandchildren, you've probably heard of LOL Surprise, a box filled with dolls to surprise a little girl. But one mom is furious with the way that gift arrived unboxed on her doorstep, ruining the whole surprise. Nicole Buckman is stunned at what showed up at her front door. Her Target Black Friday order of LOL Surprise dolls.
I couldn't even get this to her anyways.
All beat up with the bottom ripped open, and worse, her little girl saw it.
I had ordered my 5-year-old daughter the LOL Glamper from Target. She's been talking about it all year, her favorite present.
But Christmas came early this year.
Comes home from school and it's sitting on the front porch, not in a shipping box or anything.
Ruining any surprise.
She is ecstatic because she got the LOL Glamper, which it was supposed to be her present from Santa.
So we checked with Target and learned that the retailer does warn about some items that are shipped unboxed. However, you need to look carefully at the shipping details to find that. If you click on shipping details, a new window opens up saying this item won't be concealed in a Target box. It suggests parents have it sent to their workplace or a relative's house or shipped to store. Nicole says the warning should have been more prominent.
There was nothing when I checked out stating that. I never imagined it would not ship in a shipping box.
There should be a caution to parents. If you're not sure how a toy ships, use ship to store instead. That way you don't ruin a surprise, you don't waste your money. Working for you. I'm John Matarese for RTV6.
And the Circle City all ready for Christmas and the holidays there as we check out the Circle of Lights. All lit up and a lot of people checking out the view this evening. Most of them from the comfort inside the cars. We need that heater on and layering up if you're outside. The temperature 25, feels like 14 though, as we still have a little bit of a west breeze. Feels like 15 for you in Muncie and 12 is the wind chill in Lafayette. Tonight our temperatures drop back into the teens as those skies continue to clear out for us this evening, around 18 degrees as we go into tomorrow morning. So TrueCast shows early on Wednesday we'll have quite a bit of sunshine to start the day. As we go into the late morning, early afternoon, a few more more clouds are going to build in. I think we'll still see a good dose of sunshine here, but it will filter it out just a little bit, keeping it dry as we go throughout the middle of the week here. Temperature-wise, it gets a little bit better as we go through our Wednesday. It's still going to be on the chilly side, though. Our numbers around the lunch hour, upper 20s to about 30 degrees, about 32 in the afternoon, and some areas getting a little above the freezing mark. As we get into Greenwood, 34, 30 even for you in Kokomo, and 33 in Rushville. Then the warming trend really kicks in here as we go into Thursday. Already 9:30 in the morning, we've got temperatures around freezing, and we'll get back into the 40s there Thursday afternoon. Next few days of the forecast, those temperatures are looking a whole lot better here Thursday into the start of the weekend. We'll have that high 44 on Friday with partly sunny skies. Then on Saturday, I think late in the day, we've got the chance for some rain, and by Saturday night, possibly a light wintry mix coming to the area. Chris?
Affordable housing is impacting people across the U.S. in ways you may not expect. Todd Hansen taking us to West Branch, Michigan, where the cost of living may have you thinking about moving there.
This is the kitchen dining room.
In town, we came across a sign for real estate agent Gail Curtis.
A lot of these older homes had original hardwood. My average buyer would probably be, she's a waitress, and maybe he sells car for Dean Arbor Ford.
You want to live in New York or you want to live in LA, you need millions of dollars. What do you need to live in Michigan here?
You can get by in Michigan on very little. We've got rentals as low as $350 a month. The average is probably more $750. Obviously, this was probably a child's room.
Gail says her sweet spot for selling is around $150,000 and under, which in West Branch can get you a surprising amount of house.
Hi, Michelle.
Michelle and Jared Gale bought this home in West Branch 3 months ago.
We came from Saratoga Springs in Utah, and we decided to come to West Branch really for family. The kids' grandparents are here in Lake Ogama.
Is that you? Was that you?
They didn't exactly buy the house sight unseen, but without actually being there physically to see it.
She did a FaceTime call with our iPhones, and that's how we saw the house the first time.
People would meet us and they'd say, "Oh, you guys came from Utah. Aren't you that couple that didn't actually get to see the inside of the house, but you bought it anyway?" That would be us.
Their home value in Utah had skyrocketed in the 9 years they were there, but so had traffic and all the frustrations of a bigger community.
We are just calmer, a lot more grounded here, and it's been healthier for us and our family.
And financially, it made perfect sense.
This house on this land in that area, you would be $750,000 to $1 million easily. And out here, you're anywhere from $140,000 to $180,000.
Both former military in their 40s, retired and able to live if they want to on his military pension. Impossible before moving to Michigan.
So you went to the library, it looks like. Well, I just feel like so much more joyful living here and engaging in those social, family-friendly things.
For the Gales, buying a house over the internet was a risk, but the payoff was better than they ever could have imagined, living in a house and in a town that they absolutely love. In West Branch, Michigan, I'm Todd Hansen.
Let's start the news feed with a new study that's raising concerns about what happens after treatment for opioid addiction. The Columbia University study took a look at the drug buprenorphine, and it found that people were at a high risk of overdose once the treatment finished, and the rates were even high for those who took longer treatments of 18 months. Pensions are becoming more of a thing of the past. Nearly 2/3 of pension funds are considering no longer offering new employees benefits in the next 5 years. The Mercer report found that pension plans are in their worst financial state in the past 2 years. Well, bills are easy to rack up this time of year, and the average American's holiday budget is around $700. That's according to YouGov. But 12% of Americans say they plan on spending more than $1,000 during the holidays. Well, childcare, it's not only expensive, it can be a grueling process to just find the right option. So Winnie is a site and an app that helps parents find daycares and preschools in their area. Now, after talking to parents, the creators found that on average, parents spend about 30 hours per childcare search. Now, it's not something that families only do once either. Parents change their childcare 2 or 3 times within a child's first 5 years. Now, on top of that, fewer parents are staying at home. Now, the Pew Research Center reports that about 70% of moms work. The rate, it is higher for dads, and that makes it difficult for parents to opt out of childcare. The biggest issue when it comes to childcare is affordability. A lot of more affordable daycares and preschools tend to not show up in search results online. So Winnie works to put more affordable places with more open spaces on their website.
Where a lot of providers do accept government subsidies, but finding the ones that may accept the subsidies is tricky. And so we want to work with the providers, help more of them accept subsidies, and then help make that information really obvious to parents so that they know where they can receive funding for childcare.
The app and website are free for families to use. All right, next in our lineup, ditching the alcohol without ditching the taste. More beer makers getting on board with non-alcoholic options. So we're checking into whether this is actually worth drinking.